I'm the chief presiding officer of the Senate. You can enjoy a whole lot if you take care of me and make me happy. At that point, I said, sir, I'll pretend that I didn't hear this. He said, well, the ball is in your court. Own truth. And the Senate President is allowed to counter that. It all started on the 8th of December, 2023, which was a day before his birthday and my birthday. We are birthday mates. We were all in Akwa Ibom because he had a big fanfare in the stadium. Myself, my husband, and a few of his close friends, we went to Akwa Ibom. And at first, we were at Ikot Ekpene. We were in his house in Ikot Ekpene. Then we all moved to his house in Uyo, which was about 8 p.m. And he held my hand and said he wanted to show me around his house. My husband was walking behind us, just 3 of us. We're walking around from room to room. He showed me the beautiful interior. This was done by this, by that. This designer here, he bought this from us. Like, oh, it's beautiful. And then I noticed that he hastened his pace while still holding my hand. And my husband was behind, still on his phone, but he was catching up whenever he could. And then he got to this particular sitting room, and he said, do you like my house? I said, of course, sir. Every room, beautiful, nice interior, quality taste. He said, now that you're a senator, I'm going to create a time for us to come spend quality moments here. You will enjoy it. At that point, I just pulled away, and I was like, I don't really understand what exactly that meant. But then my husband now, when I turned around, I saw my husband was already near me, and the way my husband looked at me and looked at him, I was beginning to wonder, did he hear part of that inciting statements or not? And then the Senate President, too, I saw that he also had that thought, like, did my husband hear the invitation to treat or not? So then the Senate President now said, oh, by the way, let me show you my chapel. He has a chapel in his house as well. So while we were going to the chapel, you know, we walked in silence and all. So that evening, before we left the Senate President's house at about 11 midnight to the 4 points in Ikot Ekpene. And my husband asked me, Natasha, what did the Senate President whisper to you? What's he telling you? I thought, should I tell him that he was speaking about bringing me in here at a special time for us to have a good time? Or should I just kill it there, wrap it as if there was nothing? Because tomorrow was a big day. I know how much my husband adores the Senate President. He loves him as a brother. My husband would do anything to support him. So I told my husband, nothing. I can't remember what I created, but I just gave him some words to manage, to mask what was said. When we laid in bed, I lay to my right, and my husband wrapped his arms around me, and he said, my love, you know you can't tell me anything. What did the Senate President tell you? Again, I was like, don't you believe me? I said, nothing. Nothing. Moreover, it's my birthday in a few minutes. Let's just be happy. Then my husband told me he doesn't want to see me travel out of the country alone, and I should not go to the Senate President's house because he has a guest house where many senators do go there, you know, after office to like get approvals and all that.
All right, so we all listened to what Senator Natasha said and the allegation of the Senate President making advances towards her and her refusing the advances, that this might be the reason why Akpabio have been poking her in the house, and then Akpabio have been trying so hard to frustrate her. So basically, that's what I understood by everything. Now, here's the thing, right? If Akpabio did that, that is wrong. You understand? Because it's interfering with the progress of the country by maybe distracting her or maybe poking her. 100. Mio, I still think this is personal and they should figure it out. Now, for Senator Natasha, the one they wait for, now make you just bring allegation of say, okay, yes, in mismanaged funds, in divert funds, you know, what they use senatorial house do, they take they fraud Nigeria, when do they make Nigeria grow? Once you just start down like this, now me go first enter line for protest. So that Babi go come out. You understand? But for now, we see personal matter, right? Which I think people should still resolve. I saw the lawsuits, defamation and all that. Here's what I think, yeah? The lawsuits will not fly. The lawsuit will not fly. Not because I don't think the law does not work, but because of his position, yeah? Now you know how they don't defame you. Now you know how they don't spoil your name. 100. Me, I did bias on this matter, and I'm biased because I did on your side. But I see the face reality, right? That defamation suit of 100 and how many billion they say they won't put there. You know go fly. You know go fly. That's the Senate president. You know go fly. You know go fly. But then again, I beg, Senator Natasha, me I dey pray. Say as she dey talk all these things, she could just talk, say Akpabio collect so thing. Akpabio do so thing. Akpabio, now big protest go follow am. Akpabio must go with that. You can get one or two things where Akpabio they do. You know what we not really like, but we just need one thing. We're gonna make us stand. You understand? But for now, saying one knock you, all those ones, you know, yes. He's your husband's friend, according to what I heard. He's your husband's friend. You're not supposed to do that because why you go on knock your guy man wife? You understand? But you know one thing about people who get money, and then they start a lot of crazy things because you see all these agege, all this sleeping with Pekin, or with small children and all that. It started with a bored rich man. So maybe if the allegations are true, maybe Akpabio was bored. Do you understand? And again, don't be say you the accuser and say in do forceful entry on you. In seek your consent. You understand? You won't parole you, but it was disrespectful. Because it's now becoming like, okay, like say Akpabio, they like using office, they oppress or take advantage of women, which is very, very wrong. That should not be coming from the office of the Senate President. Akpabio, that's, if you did all these things that Senator Natasha is accusing you of, it's an embarrassment to Nigeria as a whole. But please, Senator Natasha, I pray, make you just establish, say, bam! See what this man they do where make Nigeria know they grow. Oh boy, men don't enter shit with that now. By then, they go and learn, and they will learn in the hard way. We now waiting to promote Nigeria. We know we are patriotic citizens, and that's it. It's and love, don't play.
And I said, Senate President, you know how important this Ajakuta Steel Company to me is. You know how important it is to my people and to Nigerians. I've noticed that you have stepped down this motion. As a matter of fact, a number of senators told me, go and see him and plead with him so that he would take it. I was like, sir, please, why can't you take this motion? It's very important. It's been listed. Then it was listed the third time and stepped down. He then said, Natasha, I'm the chief presiding officer of the Senate. You can enjoy a whole lot if you take care of me and make me happy. At that point, I said, sir, I'll pretend that I didn't hear this. He said, well, the ball is in your court. I left his office, and when I got home, I told my husband, I didn't tell my husband what happened. I just told my husband, please, can you speak to the Senate President to allow my motion scale through? I think I also spoke to the DSP, to the leader, Senator Pemi. I spoke to a number of senators that they should please intervene and allow him to allow. I never told them what happened. My husband had to take a trip to London. Then the Senate President traveled to London. My husband met with the Senate President in London and pleaded with him. Let my wife take this motion on Ajakuta. That is very important to her.
Okay. All right, Senator Natasha.
Said, okay, that he did not take it because he was protecting me. Hold on, please. He didn't take it because he was protecting me. Protecting me from what? Anyway, at the time my demotion was taken, it was the Deputy Senate President, His Excellency Barrow, that actually sat. The Senate President stood up and walked out. So it was Senator Barrow that actually took it.
All right, Senator Natasha.
And from there, many other incidents happened.
Yes, Senator
Let's
Natasha.
talk about the nightclub.
Yes.
Hold on, let's talk about the nightclub incident.
Professor Kila is going to ask you a question. I'm so sorry to have to interject here. But I just want to mention that, and I'm glad you gave the caveat at the beginning of your statement, that this is your side of the story, and the Senate President has the right to defend himself or to counter what happened between you privately. So what I assume, or for what you're saying, is that what happened last week Thursday began from a private conversation, and then you have felt like you've been maligned as a result of you not agreeing to certain propositions, right?
Yes.
Okay, so
what has happened? You know the same story of when a student keeps being failed.
Yes.
Please, let me say this, Ayo. You know the situation we see in universities whereby a student is continuously being failed just because she has not slept with the lecturer. That's what I've been facing, in simple terms.
Thank you. Professor Kila.
That is what I have been going through.
Thank you very much,
And
Professor Kila.
Now, moving to, should I speak about the nightclub incident?
No, that's okay. Professor Kila will come in now. Thank you.
Don't do that. It's quite time to come in because you've just indicted the lecturer indirectly. And I'm coming to ask you a question. Senator, it is from your side of the story, it is clear there's a lot of undercurrent and personal issues that had led to the, should we call it the outburst on the allocation of chair thing. There's a lot going on, and you've made a series of allegations which indicts the Senate president morally, if not criminally, at least. And there's the indictment of abuse of power, because if he's refusing you to do your duty for personal reasons, we need to see if he has the right to do that. But let me ask you a question, just to simplify. This idea of your seat was reallocated and you don't want to use it. What's in a seat? Why was it so important for you not to just move as you've been told to do so and deal with it later? What's the importance of saying no to that seat allocation?
Thank you so much, Professor Killer. Sitting arrangements in the National Assembly or in the chambers is very critical. That is why at the forefront, we have the leadership. And after them, we have ranking senators, second-timers, third-timers sitting there. And the nearer you are to the Senate president, the more visible you are. So you're able to interface with the daily activities, and then you have more visualized, the cameras capture you more. You're more present as against being a backbencher. So where I am sitting, the Senate president sits at the lowest point, while I am sitting at the topmost point, but on the same level.
So, Senator, it is, Senator, I'll recap for you.
So whenever I stand...
Yes. It is safe to say that...
Where I was moved to was
you felt they were reducing you.
Where the workers, the chamber staff sit.
So you felt they were relegating you. They were relegating you.
If they say, hold on. Exactly. Let me say this.
Yes.
His excuse that it's because there were 2 vacant seats due to the decamping of the senators, right?
Yes.
And that why did they have to pick on me to start the shift? There were other senators that were in front of me that would have filled the seat. Why did it have to be me to fill in the seat at the far corner? But I will say this again. If you see where I sit at the back, there is a silent degrading of senators that, as they say, came from court.
Yeah.
We are made to feel as if we are lower than our other colleagues that resumed office and were sworn in earlier than us, even though we're all first-timers. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
I remember when I asked, initially, I asked why I was not sitting amongst my other first-time colleagues.
Yes.
And I was told that is because you resumed 6 months later. So it's almost like a punishment because I resumed 6 months later. Therefore, I have to sit or take seats or wait for my other colleagues whom we all ran elections with together and won together, even though we were rigged.
So Senator,
we were made to sit at the back. So after me,
it seems clear to me.
Senator Akogonu, who came 2 weeks after me. Yes.
So it seems to me, from your own narrative, straight from your own narrative, that you feel victimized and you feel you're being treated like a second-class senator in that place. Let me ask you a question based on your own narrative.
I have a very important...
No, but very quickly, you're going to say, let me just ask you just this question.
Professor.
Yes, just this very question. Do you feel that other senators in that house, male or female or different party, do you feel that they're standing up to what they ought to be doing, or do you feel they are also, with their silence, complicit with your victimization? I want you to judge the whole Senate, 109 men and women.
No.
You don't feel they're complicit, and you don't want to...
Now, here it is. I have enjoyed tremendous support from my colleagues. And the fact that a number of my colleagues have not spoken out publicly in my defense or criticized what has happened does not mean that they do not visit me privately at home or they do not call on me to give me words of encouragement. Why they are yet to come up openly and criticize the activities of the Senate President, probably that's best known to them. However, one question I have been asked a number of times is, why are the women silent? Why are the 3 other women silent?
Yes, so why, Senator? Why do you think they're silent?
The day I filed the suit of defamation, the suit that sexual act whereby the Senate President SLA on New Media, Mr. Patrick Mfong, sexualized me by addressing my attire as being transparent, and that the only thing I know how to do is to wear pancake to the chambers. So when I filed that suit, Senator Ireti Kingibe, hold on, Senator Ireti Kingibe, Senator
Natasha,
and Senator
we're low on time,
three women who send messages to me that they do not support the litigation. And none of them have called, apart from Senator Ireti, that called my husband to tell me to withdraw that suit and all that. And my husband charged her that you were the same person who had come to the house to tell him that the ST was hitting on his wife sexually. So why are you now against my wife standing up for her rights? So let me tell you something, Mr. Which nobody knows. No, Mr. Rufai, please allow me to say this, please.
Please go ahead.
Can I say this?
Please go ahead. Please go ahead, Senator. Please go ahead.
Now, at the nightclub incident, I believe that was not a slip of tongue. That was not a slip of tongue. He has a number of times told me that there are various ways we can have fun. If we travel, he has a way of making the house, the space. He can basically create a party in the space. Do you understand? Like a nightclub in the space and would have fun and all of that. So that nightclub incident statement was not a mistake. It was more like out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaketh. But let me say this. The day before please, Rufai, let me laugh.
Go ahead, Natasha.
Go ahead, Senator. Please go ahead.
Let me speak.
Please go ahead. Please go ahead.
If you don't want me to speak, I'll walk out and complete this on my Facebook, please.
Please go ahead.
We're
Natasha. Trying to manage time, Senator, but go ahead and finish it quickly. We're trying to manage time, but please go ahead.
The night, or should I say that morning, early hours of the morning that he apologized, which was 23rd of July, 2024. That was the morning he apologized. So the night I have it printed here. I have the screenshots of the phone call. It was 14 minutes past midnight when my phone rang. The leader of the House called me, Senator Michael Bamidele Opeyemi called me, and he said, Senator, how are you? I said, I'm fine. He said, in the wake of all of this rancor, if the Senate President goes down, I will go down too. And I said, what do you mean, sir? At that point, I woke my husband up because he had fallen asleep before me. I said, are you calling me to threaten me? I could hear murmurs from the Senate President. I could hear the Senate President's voice at the background because I could tell he was on speakerphone. He said, no, I'm just telling you that, there's a whole lot of attack on the Senate President, and if things go down, if he resigns or something happens, I should know that I'm going to be held responsible and I also go down. At that point, I started shouting. I was like, you can't call me at midnight and threaten me, sir. You can't do this. And mind you, I was actually surprised because the leader of the House is someone I respect greatly. He's a very good friend. He's a very calm person. And I believe, I'm saying it, that if he actually made those statements, he probably was told to do so. So I dropped the line. And then I dropped the line. The first conversation was just 2 minutes, 33 seconds. Then my phone rang again at 26 minutes past midnight that same day. And then it was the same call, Senator Opeyemi's line, but then it was the Senate President's voice. He said, Princess of the Senate. That's how he calls me casually. I've been attacked. My wife has not slept for days. She's been crying. She's received lots of insults, all because of you. I said, no, sir, it's not because of me. It's because of you. I didn't force you to order that statement. And I did not call on the support I received from Nigerian women. So don't blame it on me. He said, no, he's telling me this because the Dane of Agbo, I think he's a king in Agbo in Delta State. So the Dane of Agbo spoke with him and told him that that's the Senate President, was the most hated politician in Nigeria at that point. Mind you, that was a few days to the protest. There was this end bad governance protest on the 1st of August, and this incident happened like a week before. So he said the Dane of Agbo told him, Mr. Senate President, your rating is all low. You're one of the worst. You're one of the most hated politicians now. So I would advise, he said the DN of Agbo advised the Senate President to leave Abuja because if he is caught in the middle of the protest, he could be attacked by the Nigerians. I said, so why are you telling me this, sir? He said he's telling me because he found it insulting that the DN of Agbo would tell him to leave, to run away, to leave Abuja. And that he's telling me, he said, Natasha, I'm telling you, go and tell them that if anybody over the age of 20 approaches me during the protest, I will what was the word? Hold on. I will take that person down. The Senate President told me over the phone that based on the advice that the DN of Agbo gave him, that he should leave Abuja in the wake of the protest so that he will not be caught and probably will not be approached or attacked by the youth. He said, Natasha, I have the capacity, I'm number 3 citizen. If anybody over the age of 20 dares to confront me, I will take that person down. That person should dare me with his life. I said, at that point, I started shouting. I now told my husband, he didn't know the phone was on speakerphone all the while because I'd woken my husband up from the first speech. I was like, my love, can you hear what he's telling me? This is exactly what he does. At that point, when he knew, he was like, is your husband there? Oh, yeah. I said, yes, sir, my husband is here. And he heard everything. He then told me to pass the phone to my husband. And you know what he said? Immediately, he changed his tone. He was like, oh, Alema, I have a slot for you for an appointment from Delta State. Why don't you bring a nominee? And I took the phone back. I shouted at the Senate President. I said, you can't pacify us. You can't threaten me on one side and then pacify me. Sir, I'm aware, even though the conversations took place by WhatsApp, I know that the DSS and the NSA's office, they have the tools to extract these phone calls. And Senator I'm going to publish yes, sir. Okay, Senator Natasha, thank you. And he told me that, well, all you want, hold on, please. He then told me that, Oshay, all I want is an apology. He would apologize on the floor that morning and that he expects me to accept it. So all that morning, when I walked in, I was already threatened. I was already petrified. This is a man who had already called me at midnight, so I didn't sleep all night. I just had to say to his seamless apology. Senator Natasha Akpoti, thank you so much for being here. He who alleges must prove. I'm sure you have all your proof because they are on the other side are also going to demand all of it, and you have to put it out there. So thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for honoring us today with your presence. We'll take a short...